ghostly figures and mutants in the Chernobyl zone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're venturing into one of the most enigmatic and haunting places on our planet, the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of an abandoned city. Buildings loom around you, their windows like empty eyes staring into your soul. Trees sprout through concrete, and vines snake up crumbling walls. The silence is almost deafening, broken only by rustling leaves and the distant creak of decaying structures. But is this place really abandoned? Or do shadows of the past linger here, watching us as we tread through their forgotten world? Grab a seat and maybe a flashlight, because we're about to delve into the ghostly figures and mutants rumored to inhabit the Chernobyl zone. Let's get started. Brief overview of the Chernobyl disaster. First things first, let's rewind to April 26, 1986. On this fateful night, Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded during a safety test gone horribly wrong. The explosion released massive amounts of radioactive particles into the atmosphere, creating one of the worst nuclear disasters in human history. The immediate impact was devastating. 31 people died from the explosion and acute radiation sickness, but the long-term effects impacted thousands more. Entire towns were evacuated, including the nearby city of Pripyat, which was once home to nearly 50,000 residents. Families left their homes, possessions, and lives behind, thinking they would return in a few days. Little did they know, they would never come back. This catastrophic event not only altered the landscape physically but also etched a permanent scar into the collective memory, giving rise to countless stories, legends, and mysteries. The Chernobyl exclusion zone today. Fast forward to today, and the Chernobyl exclusion zone spans roughly 2,600 square kilometers. Within its borders lie ghost towns, dense forests, and the remains of human activity frozen in time. Pripyat, once a model Soviet city, stands as a poignant relic, its amusement park, a Ferris wheel and bumper cars, never enjoyed by the public, now rusting away. Nature has reclaimed much of the area. Trees break through sidewalks, animals wander freely, and the lack of human interference has allowed ecosystems to flourish in unexpected ways. It's a surreal blend of urban decay and natural rebirth, creating an atmosphere that's both haunting and mesmerizing. Restrictions and access. Can you just hop on a plane and stroll into the exclusion zone? Not quite. Access is highly regulated by Ukrainian authorities. Only those with special permits can enter, typically as part of organized tours, scientific research teams, or workers involved in maintaining the sarcophagus covering Reactor 4. Guides lead visitors along approved paths, emphasizing safety and ensuring that radiation exposure is minimal. Then there are the stalkers, individuals who illegally sneak into the zone to explore and document the deserted landscape. While their adventures make for thrilling stories, it's a risky endeavor that isn't recommended. Tales of ghostly figures. Many workers and visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures roaming the empty streets and buildings. Shadowy silhouettes appear in windows, only to vanish upon closer inspection. Strange noises echo through the halls of abandoned schools and hospitals, footsteps, distant laughter, or whispers that seem to come from nowhere. One hotspot for these occurrences is Hospital Number 126, where firefighters were brought after battling the reactor fire. Some say they've felt cold spots or seen apparitions of medical staff still tending to patients. The eerie atmosphere of these places certainly adds fuel to the paranormal fire. The Black Bird of Chernobyl. Perhaps the most infamous legend is that of the Black Bird of Chernobyl. In the days leading up to the disaster, several workers allegedly encountered a terrifying creature, a large, dark figure with huge wings and piercing red eyes. Those who saw it also reported experiencing nightmares and receiving ominous phone calls. After the explosion, the sightings ceased, leading some to believe the Black Bird was a harbinger of doom. The story draws parallels to the Mothman legend from West Virginia in the 1960s, where a similar creature was purportedly seen before a tragic bridge collapse. Psychological explanations. Being in an environment like the exclusion zone can be unnerving. The isolation, the decay, and the heavy history create a perfect storm for the mind to conjure up apparitions. Our brains are hardwired to recognize patterns and faces, even where none exist, a phenomenon known as pareidolia. Add to that the stress and anxiety of being in a potentially hazardous area, and it's no surprise that people might experience heightened senses or even hallucinations. While these experiences are very real to those who have them, they might not be evidence of the supernatural. Mutations in flora and fauna. In the wake of the disaster, the immediate effects on flora and fauna were devastating. The red forest, located just a few kilometers from the reactor, earned its name when radiation killed the pine trees, turning them a reddish-brown color. Animals perished or fled, and the area became a silent, lifeless zone. Long-term ecological impact. Over the years, researchers observed various mutations in plants and animals. Trees with twisted branches, sunflowers with gigantism, and birds with discolorations were documented. Insects showed genetic mutations affecting their development and reproduction. Some rodents exhibited higher levels of cataracts and tumors. These mutations often resulted in reduced viability, meaning the affected organisms didn't survive long or reproduce effectively. Interestingly, some species showed remarkable resilience, adapting to the radiation levels in ways scientists are still trying to understand. Myths versus reality. Contrary to what sci-fi movies might suggest, there aren't giant mutant creatures roaming the exclusion zone. The mutations observed are typically subtle and not the stuff of horror films. While it's true that radiation can cause genetic changes, the results are usually detrimental to the organism, not transforming them into super monsters. Understanding the real impact of these mutations helps us appreciate the complexities of ecological recovery and the resilience of life in the face of adversity. The resurgence of wildlife. Despite the lingering radiation, wildlife in the exclusion zone is flourishing. The absence of humans has allowed animal populations to rebound. Wolves roam the forests, their numbers higher than in surrounding areas. Bears, bison, lynx, and dozens of rare bird species have been spotted. It's like nature hit the reset button. The ecosystems have adapted, and life finds a way, as they say. The zone has become an inadvertent wildlife sanctuary, offering researchers a unique opportunity to study how ecosystems function without human interference. Ongoing research. Scientists are keenly interested in the long-term effects of chronic radiation exposure on wildlife. Studies involve tracking animal movements, health assessments, and monitoring reproduction rates. Surprisingly, many species show no significant differences compared to populations in non-contaminated areas. This research provides valuable insights into radiation ecology and has implications for understanding how ecosystems might recover from other types of environmental disasters. Cultural impact. The mystique of Chernobyl has permeated pop culture in a big way. The desolate landscapes and haunting history make for compelling storytelling. Video games like Stalker and Metro 2033 immerse players in post-apocalyptic worlds inspired by the exclusion zone. These games often feature mutated creatures and supernatural elements, amplifying the legends. HBO's miniseries, Chernobyl, brought renewed attention to the disaster, highlighting the human stories behind the event. While dramatized, it sparked conversations about nuclear safety and historical accountability. Tourism in the exclusion zone. This cultural fascination has led to a surge in tourism. Thousands of visitors each year embark on guided tours, exploring the eerie streets of Pripyat, standing beneath the towering Duga radar system, and even getting close to the reactor itself, all while following safety protocols. However, this raises ethical questions. Is it appropriate to turn a site of tragedy into a tourist destination? Does it help in educating the public, or does it risk trivializing the suffering that occurred? It's a delicate balance between remembrance and exploitation. Personal accounts. Amidst the ruins, a small number of people have returned to live within the exclusion zone, the Samozli. Mostly elderly, they chose to come back to their homes despite the risks, preferring familiar surroundings over displacement. Their stories are a blend of resilience and nostalgia. They tend to dismiss the ghost stories, focusing instead on the practicalities of daily life, growing their own food, fetching water, and relying on a tight-knit community for support. Testimonials from tour guides and researchers. Tour guides often share anecdotes about unexplained occurrences, but many emphasize that the most profound experiences are rooted in history, not the paranormal. Researchers, too, might feel a certain unease in remote areas, but attribute it to the environment rather than ghosts. These personal accounts add depth to our understanding of life in the zone, grounding the myths in reality. Scientific perspectives. Experts generally agree that there's no scientific evidence supporting the existence of ghosts or supernatural creatures in Chernobyl. Radiation doesn't induce paranormal phenomena. While high doses can affect the body and mind, the levels encountered by visitors are too low to cause such effects. Parapsychologists suggest that many reported experiences can be explained by environmental factors and psychological suggestibility. The power of suggestion is strong, especially in a place with a reputation like Chernobyl's. Genetic studies on mutations. Geneticists have been studying the impact of radiation on various species. While mutations have been observed, they often lead to decreased fitness rather than advantageous traits. The data collected helps in understanding the mechanisms of mutation and adaptation, contributing to fields like genetics, ecology, and environmental science. Debunking and critical thinking. It's crucial to approach stories from Chernobyl critically. While it's tempting to get swept up in tales of ghosts and mutants, we should consider the evidence. By distinguishing between documented facts and embellishments, we gain a clearer picture of the true impact and significance of the disaster. The power of urban legends. Urban legends serve a purpose. They reflect societal fears, teach lessons, or provide entertainment. In the case of Chernobyl, they highlight anxieties around nuclear power and environmental catastrophe. Understanding why these stories persist can offer insight into our collective psyche. Reflection on Chernobyl's legacy. As we wrap up, it's clear that Chernobyl is more than just a site of disaster. It's a testament to human error, the resilience of nature, and the complexities of recovery. The ghost stories and mutant myths add layers to its narrative, but the reality is equally compelling. Final thoughts. Chernobyl remains a powerful symbol, a place where humanity's ambition collided with nature's unforgiving laws. The stories of ghostly figures and mutations capture our imagination, but the true lessons lie in understanding the real consequences of technological failures and the incredible resilience of life. As we continue to explore and learn from places like Chernobyl, let's remember to approach them with respect, curiosity, and a commitment to seeking the truth beyond the myths. Call to action. If you're intrigued and want to dive deeper, I encourage you to watch documentaries like The Babushkas of Chernobyl, or read works like Voices from Chernobyl by Svetlana Alexievich for first-hand accounts. There's so much more to uncover about this fascinating place. Engagement with the audience. So, what are your thoughts? Do you believe in the paranormal tales emerging from Chernobyl, or are you more convinced by scientific explanations? Let's discuss. Drop your opinions, theories, or questions in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more explorations into the world's most fascinating and mysterious places. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe.